welcome to About Face Theatre presents 5 Questions With, and our guest today, actor Chukudi Iwuji. Chukudi is an actor whose extensive theatre credits include playing Othello for the Public Theatre's Shakespeare in the Park, his Obie Award-winning role in The Low Road, and his 2 Olivier Awards for playing Henry VI with the RSC, alongside work at the National, the Old Vic, and Theatre for a New Audience, among others. His wide range of TV and film work includes major roles in Designated Survivor, The Split, The Underground Railroad, the award-winning Netflix show When They See Us, and the feature News of the World opposite Tom Hanks. Chuck, you are very welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks for welcoming me. I'm very excited to be doing this. I'm on the other end of it, you know, since when I last saw you guys. You guys were on the other end, right? So this is great.
Great. So we're going to just dive right in. So, Chuck, what play or experience first got you into theater?
Okay, it's a two-pronged answer, because what got me into acting was when I was back in Nigeria. I grew up there and stuff, and in school I did school plays, so that got me into acting. But if I'm really gonna say what got me into theater as to this was the path I was gonna be on, I did a production when I was at Yale undergrad. I had been toying with the idea of acting for a while. Do you know what I mean? I think part of the reason why I left the UK to go to the States was because of the 2-year liberal arts offer, you know, where they allow you to just play around and decide and give you more time. And because there was an instinct in me that felt I might be heading towards that, I felt, well, America's the place to do it, right? So it took me, though, 2 years. I did my freshman year, sophomore year. I majored in economics and I graduated with economics, but it took me 2 years. It was in my junior year. I finally got the courage to go for an audition, and it was Ngosoki Shanje's From Okra to Greens. And I didn't know the difference between an audition and a callback. It was actually a poster at Yale for callbacks, but I just saw callback auditions. I just saw auditions. So I just turned up and I signed up and I came into the room, and the directors, and I can't remember even what piece I did. I can't remember what I did. I learned something. And I remember everyone just giving themselves a little look. And I thought, oh God, am I really rubbish, or am I really great? You know, I don't know. But it just turned out that they didn't know who the hell I was. And I gate crashed the callbacks, not the auditions. I got the part. As it happens, the director is still a dear friend of mine. And it was really just an ensemble part. It's a very movement-based, dance-based thing. But I remember there was a moment when all my friends had come to one particular performance, because I don't know if you know the system, usually plays run for a weekend, like Thursday till Saturday and stuff. And so it was the show where all my friends and dorm mates and everything were in. And I remember walking on to this really cool moment where we just crossed the stage literally to this amazing music. And everyone just whooping and going crazy, and then seeing their faces out there. And I just went, oh, okay, this is what I gotta do, you know? And I think that's what made it, because from there I went on an audition and did Beckett, which got me into drama school there, you know. Then I did my first Othello. I mean, that was the beginning of going, okay, this is really what I wanna do, you know? As a personal decision. The performance that got me definitely on the path of becoming an actor professionally was I played Thomas Becket in a production of Becket, which was the next play I did. Well, no, the next play I did was True West. I did them, so my GPA just dropped because I just suddenly started doing all theater. And so I did Becket, and it turns out, and this is a funny story. So this is why I said it's a two-pronged answer, because you could technically say I'm an actor now, because when I was living in Ethiopia at the age of 10, we had this black market of VCRs, you know, videos, you know, video cassettes. We would trade them off because, you know, the television was awful. We all knew that. And for some reason, one day, a video of the movie Becket with Richard Burton and Peter O'Toole, the classic 1964, 1962 or something, arrived. And as a 10-year-old, I shouldn't have loved this movie at all. I mean, period drama set, whatever, murder of the Archbishop. I loved it. I watched it over and over, and it drove my younger sister nuts. So fast forward to Yale 10 years later, and there's a post, I've just done my first show, ensemble piece, and I see this poster for Beckett. And I go, oh my God, I know this, I know it. And I want to play Peter O'Toole's role. I want to play King Henry. And my girlfriend at the time knew the director and said they were struggling to find the leads. And I just went to the audition. I auditioned for Henry, but he gave me Beckett. And when that show opened, the head of drama at Yale was grading it because it was a senior project for my director. And he saw the Beckett, and a couple of days later invited me to his office and offered me a scholarship to drama school, of that performance. So you can say it goes back to, when I was in Ethiopia as a 10-year-old, but the most immediate thing was doing From Okra to Greens. and it's all very tied in. Yeah.
Oh, that just gave me the chills though. That kind of like, I love that synchronicity.
It's so weird. Yeah.
Okay, so then the play Beckett was a big part of your early career. Chuck, but what's a great play that you love and why?
I mean, guys, it has to be Hamlet, I know it's so cliched to say that. And for the longest time, I thought it was cliched to say that till I played him. And, we did this production at the mobile unit with the public, where we go to prisons and all that before we then bring it to the public. You know how that works. Yeah. And doing Hamlet on the road in prisons and doing it for these guys that have been waiting all year for you to bring the production, no sense of all that nonsense, how much Shakespeare can be understood, let's dumb it down. No, giving them the play and watching them rap. We were in a women's shelter, one of the first performances, and I started to do To Be or Not to Be. And I went To Be or Not to Be, and then a woman shouted, that is the question. You know what I mean? And then we were in Rikers one day, and I was about to do the To Be or Not to Be speech again. And I was, I was doing it as if I was gonna just, I'm done. And I remember starting it, and I love using the audience. I love looking directly at the audience. I don't see the point. I mean, yeah, certain plays need a fourth wall, but with Shakespeare, no. I mean, the audience are there. Yeah. Funny enough, we'll talk about it, not necessarily Othello, which is another great play, but I sat there and I looked out, and there was this guy in the front row in Rikers, and he's there watching, and I have the needle, and I go, To Be or Not to Be, and I'm about to say that is the question, and the guy just goes, don't do it. Don't do it. So these are guys that are going through it genuinely. And yet the humanity of the piece and the humanity they still have, that forgotten group of people, i.e. prisoners, homeless, whatever, was able to say, don't do it. There's always something worth living for. And that informed my Hamlet so much. Those experiences, there were countless ones like that on the road. That by the time we took it to the public and to the regular audiences, those prisons and shelters and community centers and those people and those reactions were part of my Hamlet. On top of the fact that it is an extraordinary play. And for an actor, look, I don't know about, I'm not a dramaturg, I don't know. They're greater plays, I'm sure they're greater plays. I feel, in my experience so far, there are no greater characters to play than Hamlet. I will always say Othello is the most difficult character I've played, but Hamlet is the greatest character I've played. Hamlet is probably the only character that if someone said, come do it again now, I actually want to do. I didn't want to finish, I didn't want the production to end when it ended. That's the first time I've ever felt that about a play. Yeah. Not that I got bored, but sometimes you just know shows at the end. Hamlet, there was so much more I still felt I could have done, and I wanted to do, and I would do, given the chance,
Yeah. Beautiful.
No, I think it's a great choice.
So can you tell us about a time in your theater life where something turned out differently than you had expected?
Yeah. You mentioned Henry VI at the Royal Shakespeare Company. And I don't know if this is what you're looking for, but I think my experience was different. when I left drama school in the States, I was heading back to England. I remember saying to a friend of mine, look, if it takes me 10 years camping out at the door of the Royal Shakespeare Company and the National to get a gig, I'll do it. Because all my heroes, Richard Burton, Peter O'Toole, all those guys came through that world. So I moved back. When I moved back to London after drama school, my agent, who had asked me who my favorite actors were, and realized that, oh, this is an actor that wants to cut his teeth in theater as opposed to go do the #1 soap EastEnders or something, you know, but this is where she set about putting me up for stuff. And literally this is where, like, a week after I arrived, my first audition was with the RSC, and I got it. That was my first job in England, and it was to play, bit roles, the soothsayer in Julius Caesar, and Cornelius, which was my first experience in Hamlet, which is probably the smallest named role in the whole Shakespearean canon. He's the ambassador that doesn't speak. Do you know what I mean? He just scours in the corner. I was just like, oh God. And I think I played one of within the play, I played the for what we're about to, whatever, the guy that announces the play, and that's as far as I got. But it was a long season, but I was learning. Do you know what I mean? I was learning. I was backstage, I was watching. I was like, okay, if I'm not playing Hamlet, if Sam West is playing it, what is it he's doing? I was watching that. I took my understudying very, very seriously. I remember I was understudying a dear friend of mine, Greg Hicks, who was playing Brutus in Julius Caesar, watching him. And we went on to do the next 3 gigs together. We went to the National, he sort of nurtured me as whatever, and ended up with us doing me, Ophidius, opposite his Coriolanus at the RSC again a few years later. But when we did the Henry VI's, I remember arriving at it and thinking, I'm finally here. It'd been textbook. First season, bit role, spear carrier, bored as hell. Second season, Ophidius in Coriolanus, third season, title character. I'm playing the lead. I'm Henry VI, right? And it was this amazing thing. It was we did the whole histories, and it was amazing. The country went wild for them. It was absolutely. But I remember after opening, there was this day, we'd done the first tetralogy. Actually, we'd done the second tetralogy first. So we did the Henry VI's and Richard III first, then went back and did Richard II to Henry V. But in between, we'd opened Henry VI, 1, 2, and 3, and Richard III. And I remember opening night. And I'm walking home one morning early, and I walk past the post, and there's my face in front of the RSC, there in a crown. And I felt nothing. Not that, that's wrong to say I felt nothing. Because I obviously, the euphoria of playing it, but I realized the euphoria existed in playing the role. It didn't exist in, oh, I've arrived. It didn't exist in my poster on the front of the RSC. It didn't exist. Because in a few weeks' time, we were going to turn the focus to another set of plays. And this poster represented this, and then we keep moving on. So I guess it was an experience that made me realize, or made me start appraising what really matters. And it isn't the press or the pomp and circumstance. And it isn't about, there's no sense, oh, I've arrived. It's just another chapter, and then you do the next thing. And the important things are actually in real life, in, family, kids, whatever matters to you. But it isn't that. It isn't, oh, my dream. Right. Your dream is just part of your life, and it's there to inform, and it's another chapter. You're like, it isn't there. It isn't the arrival point. And I thought it would be. And in that moment, I was like, it's not the arrival point. There isn't one, And I've experienced that over and over to reiterate that. And I'm pretty at peace and happy with that,
Yeah, that's great.
That's very cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Chuck, you've played a lot of the major roles in theater already, and you are now working a lot in TV and film. But what is it about theater that keeps you coming back to theater still? What excites you? What moves you about theater?
Great roles. They're just great roles. They're just greater roles. And even good TV and film writers. I'm working with James Gunn right now, who's a fantastic writer of character, actually. they'll tell you he loves theater.
Mm.
Great roles, great plays, great men. It's hard to say no to Hamlet. It's hard to say no to Othello. It's hard to say no to, you know, Hedda Gabler. You know, it's hard to say no to, I mean, Mary Queen of Scots. It's hard to say no to August Wilson. I mean, I just feel that it's great. There are times when you weigh things up and say, no, I think I'm going to do this film. I really want to work with this director. I really want to work with this director. It's great. But ultimately, there's certain things that come across your desk and you go, I have to do this. It's so wonderful. And I've found, you know, although I've been doing this a while, things have always sort of aligned to make the decisions easy. Do you know what I mean? Like, you go back to Hamlet, there was nothing else on my table when I did Hamlet. So that was that. And then Hamlet led to, then Evil Van Hove said, come do Hedda Gabler. Well, of course I'm going to go do Hedda Gabler with Evil Van Hove at the National. And then a TV thing came out of that. And I was finishing off with Eva and the TV thing. So it's not, I mean, yes, there've been a couple of occasions where I've had to say, guys, I can't do this because I've got this other gig and I want to explore that. But often it's very clear. It's a bit like, you know, those kids that are worried they've gotten into 2 or 3 of the schools they wanted and they're fretting about God. No, they're fretting about what happens if I get into whatever. And then it becomes very clear as you get closer to the time exactly what you have to do. And that's how I felt about it. But if I were to use one word to describe why theater will always be part of my life, it's the roles. They're just amazing. And yes, the interaction and the live audience and the communion of that. But there's an equivalent of that in film and TV, which is the intimacy of a camera, knowing that once you've captured this once, it's captured forever. There is that, you know, that exists. So I would say, if as much as those factors, the audiences, the live theater aspect is great, I would say what brings me back, what makes me say yes to it is when someone brings a role and I go, I have to do that. It happened in The Low Road. No, it happened in Othello. It was hilarious because I just finished filming something, which is like my biggest thing, certainly in England with the BBC, The Split, you know, like I was enjoying it. I went from The Split to film Lear with Anthony Hopkins. Richard Eyre was directing the film of Lear. Then I went to film this movie, Shine Your Eyes in Sao Paulo. I was on a roll with filming. And I came back to New York finally after a year. I was supposed to be gone just 3 months to do Hedda Gabler, and it stretched out for almost a year. And I'm talking to my manager and she goes, okay, so what's the target? I said, you know, I'm loving this film. It's great that I've been doing this so long and yet there is this other skill set that seems so new and fresh and exciting to me. So I said, let's focus on film and TV. And, you know, honestly, Meg, unless the public calls and offers, I don't know, Othello, I don't want to do it. Literally, we had that conversation. It was literally a week after that. The public called and offered Othello. Do you see what I mean? Like those sort of, and then you go, oh, well, of course I have to do that. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So you mentioned one thing that, you know, just the experience of like through theater and like arriving at your, you know, dreams or whatever, that you kind of learned what you valued in life. But are there any skills that you have learned in theater that you have found useful in the rest of your life?
That feels a bit like what, for me, it feels like a bit what came first, the chicken or the egg, in the sense that I took characteristics of myself into theater in order to do theater. You know, I was kind of always, I was made head boy at my school. I was always good at public speaking. I remember being a tiny little runt in school in Nigeria, and they would always make me do the public speeches to the parents. So I was always good at that. I was always a bit of a loner as a kid and played my own games. I was, you know, so I sort of feel like I brought stuff to theater, and theater embraced that and nurtured that. So I don't, and I'm one of those actors that when I'm done with the show, I don't take it home. I would like to say courage, because it takes courage to get on stage every day, guys. You know that. I would like to say courage, but I'm not particularly courageous in real life. So I can't say I took that from the theater to be any more courageous in real life than I am. So I really think it's this circle of that side of me that's both very introverted, but able to be extroverted when called upon. I've taken as a person into theater, and it's part of what theater is. You have to be introverted to find all that stuff, but the curtains come up and you have to enjoy being there and enjoy being watched. So maybe that's helped me be more at peace with those two contradicting qualities in my real life, that it's all right for the fact that I don't need to see people. I don't, I like reading a book and taking a book to a coffee shop in a corner. That's my idea of fun. But at the same time, you put me in front of a camera to do publicity for something I'm doing, and I'm comfortable with that. Maybe it's reinforced that, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
That's great. Well, this has been so terrific, Chuck. Such great insights. Really love it. But just as a bonus, can you tell us anything about what you're working on at the moment? Yeah,
I'm in Vancouver right now. I've been here for about, where are we? February, like 2 months. I'm filming James Gunn, who I mentioned, a project called Peacemaker. And it's basically in the world of the DC universe. And it's he's just coming out this summer. He's just directed the second Suicide Squad movie. So this is sort of like a spin-off of it with one of the characters, the Peacemaker, which is played by John Cena. So this is sort of a spin-off TV show of it that he wrote during COVID. He wrote all episodes during COVID while in hiatus and got a green light from HBO Max. And we're now filming in Vancouver, and I'm here for like till June or something, filming that. And I'm playing a mysterious character, and I can't tell you much about him, but he's kind of cool. But it's the sort of character that when I saw the page, this is what's hilarious about our work. I looked at it, I was like, why am I wasting? Why don't they just go get The Rock to do that? I mean, you know what I mean? Literally, I remember saying that, and I was not gonna do the tape. But then I remember what my manager and agent always tell me. They always say, don't cast yourself. If the casting director who knows you has said tape, they know what they're doing. You know what I mean? Just give it a go. And as it turns out, the breakdown was completely not me. The character was supposed to be much older than me. It was but they said, have a go at this. And I then find out from James and the producer and stuff, going, yeah, no, we saw you. James saw the tape, and it was like, that's what I want, actually. Forget the breakdown we sent out. That's the guy. That's it. And that's how I got it. And so this is something to your audiences. Don't cast yourself. If someone has said, go on tape. Don't give yourself a reason, because those things, this isn't me, is a way of saving yourself from disappointment, right? Don't give yourself that excuse. Just do it. And do what you would do with any piece of theater. I looked at the script, and after I almost ruled myself out, I looked at the script, and it was really funny and really and I remember saying to my wife, Angela, I think I know what to do with this. I think I know how I would do this. And she goes, okay, good, let's do it. And we had a great time shooting it and got a straight offer, from it. Do you know what I mean? And so don't cast yourself, and use whatever comes your way. Use your skill set to make it work. Does that make sense? Don't remember, I don't know if you saw the episode with Richard Jenkins on Bounded in a Nutshell, and he said, you're not obligated. Get rid of obligation. Is that thing of, I know what they're looking for, so I should give them what they're looking for instead of what you want. You're not obligated. Just enough for that. And that was what was ruling myself out of it. It's like, I can't, I don't want to do that what they want. No, do what you want. Yeah. And that was a real example of that being the case, because it changed the whole concept of what they thought they were looking for, So yeah. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm here for a few months.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for that advice at the end. You don't know how much I just needed to hear that again.
Yeah. No, it's the biggest thing we all fall into. Like, forget. Yeah. That's why often when they say go watch, it's like this. I don't go watch the other thing, because you start thinking, well, no, like, what is your instinct? Yeah. What is your reaction to that thing in front of you? Yeah. And that's ultimately all you can bring to the table, and all you should bring to the table, and stuff. So yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. And
thanks so much, guys.
Yeah. And thank you so much to the viewers. So great to have you here. And we look forward to seeing you next time on About Face Theatre presents 5 Questions With. And if you like what you saw, please subscribe and like the video.
If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe to us on YouTube, like us on Facebook, and share. Thanks for watching.